You are now listening to Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, the voice for the people. Join Richie alongside co-host property damage attorney Hans Cannon as they bring light to the taboo world of big insurance companies, exposing their tactics and fighting for justice. Hear stories from contractors across the state. Contractor Talk, here to protect homeowners and uncover the truth.
All right, we're live. Thanks for joining us. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, and a little bit of background there to further announce our presence this afternoon or tonight. Thanks for joining us. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell every Monday night right here on 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. The Answer is where we are here locally in Central Florida. In a few days, we'll be on streaming, such as Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you like to stream. And if you are a YouTuber, we're also on there. Check out our channel, Contractor Talk, and like us, subscribe us there, and you won't miss a show, especially Hans' Dapper Suit and Attire of the Week. At no giving week will you find the same attire on this man right here, Hans Cannon, board-certified attorney here now. I was almost going to say 30 years, and we're getting there, so I don't want to date you.
30 plus, you know.
Oh, it is. He did hit the 30-year mark.
Yeah,
wow,
I know.
Look at that. Is that a tricennial? Is that what that is?
I know. He looks dapper
holding up
for
bouquet,
sure.
holding up bouquet.
Yeah, I love
It's a
it.
busy day. What time is it really? That's all I really want to know.
I don't know.
I have
It's
no
daylight
idea.
outside right now. We're
Oh,
recording
I
a
know.
show. Used to be nighttime. I don't know. I'm not used to it.
Because then you said here this afternoon, evening.
It's like I don't know when it is right now. The time changes mess me up. It is the Monday, the first Monday after the Sunday that is swafooed around, and now I woke up this morning tired.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, when is this day going to end? And then the day ended and it felt like it was short. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I get to go home. And I'm like, oh my God, it is so sunny outside. I can garden when I get home now. So this is interesting. So I'm definitely not used to it. I don't know what's going to happen tonight.
Are you a gardener?
I'm going to be now that I have so much free time.
You're
With the sun
farmer, like
outside.
Farmer's Almanac, daylight saving. You get more time to work the crops.
Yeah, isn't that the reason why we have an extra hour in the spring?
That was what they said. They used to say was to allow farmers additional time for work in the fields.
Wow. Oh, there you go. Look at that. A little
Little-
Monopoly
little hat.
there for you. To add to his attire. So being that we're a live radio, it's always so fun to sidetrack. And but my sidetrack today is the stuff that we mentioned last week.
Yes.
We mentioned the public adjuster stuff that is going on in Kentucky. We just briefly kind of skimmed over that, and I got in a little bit more on that subject to find out what's going on there and why it's important to me, even though it's in Kentucky. I was born there, but it's because it's a slippery slope. When one major law changes in one state, it almost is primed to go in another state, whether it's neighboring states or it makes its way to Florida. It's not good at all. And so what this bill is looking at doing, because we're in legislative session here in Florida, it is also legislative session currently in Kentucky, where they're looking at capping public adjusters to 5% total and not allowing any new applications to the board. Not allowing new apprenticeships for public adjusting, thereby just killing. If you haven't already have a license now, then you don't have a chance of getting a license if this bill goes through. And it just started getting some publicity and going around the channels after it passed the House. It just recently passed the House on the floor.
In Kentucky.
Right. 95-1. And so that's not good. And it looks like there are some folks on it already. I was calling around some lobbyists up in Kentucky. See if is anybody on this. Hopefully the Senate Committee, Banking and Insurance Committee, knows that this is a farce. That's we should not have how we want to just say ill representation for the consumer. You know, when insurance companies are billion-dollar carriers that then put these adjusters, experts, whatever they need to, they have an endless war chest of ability to go against you as a consumer when you file a claim. And your only hope is having a public adjuster or an attorney to be able to assist you in that time of need. And so we talk about property insurance here a lot on the show, and we talk about the folks that help aid in the recovery of these insurance proceeds many times on the show. And we have a lot of contractors. We're sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida. We're a nonprofit association by contractors for contractors here in Florida. And as I mentioned, in other states, if some bad legislation passes there, it could greatly affect us here in Florida. what is the perception of the norm, what is perception of industry standard could bleed into this area to where it's like, oh, well, it seems like, especially if you have like our Florida CFO, which is not just a numbers person here in the state of Florida. When you think about a CFO, this person is over the Department of Financial Services, which oversees public adjusters, independent adjusters, and also the Office of Insurance Regulation. So it's a very astute role here in the state of Florida, and one that, as we've seen in the past 8 years, if it's overseen by insurance funded folks, such as Jimmy Petronas, that was our CFO, who raised $3.5 million to be our CFO here, all by insurance companies, $20,000 by the Restoration Association of Florida. So you can tell he doesn't listen to us, but he listens to where the money is, right? Is that what they say? Follow the money.
A little Paquito dropper full or something.
Yes, he said
20,000.
Dame Mas Plata said here's 20 grand, and as we saw what happened in all of those series and narco series, it didn't turn out well for that guy. So
what I can't get over is that they have all these statute such in Kentucky for the public adjusters. And basically they said they're trying to protect the consumer from unscrupulous public adjusters. So we're not going to let them be around anymore.
What about the good public adjusters?
Well, I mean, even forgoing the fact that every trade has some bad apples, as they would say. Under the idea that they're helping the consumer so that consumer can get no assistance. So that when they're protecting you from something and they're saying, just trust the insurance company, right? Because that's the reality of that statement. We get rid of public adjusters because they're bad for the consumer. Who protects the consumer? Nobody. And like Petronas, when he talked about public adjusters being locusts, even though he oversees them, their role in Florida, says they're bad people, tries to limit their use. They allow insurance policies that don't allow you to use a public adjuster because literally the consumer is supposed to simply trust the insurance company without the ability to do a lot of things we talked about last week. They've made it where it's harder for me to get paid and you can't hire a public adjuster. But you're in good hands with your insurance company. Don't you worry.
Yeah, no problem. And we've seen this in not only in Florida, where we saw I think it was Miami Herald. I love them for being able to publish certain things that most journals won't publish, and that is the truth about big bad insurance. And one of them was a statement. It was two different articles. One was Citizens, funded by the state of Florida, denied 77% of all the claims filed by Hurricane Milton, and the one right before that, Helene. And then we had another report that came out and said 14 insurance companies, starting at 76%, down to 50%, denied more than 50% of all the claims. And so that's 15 insurance companies above 50% denial rate. That's ridiculous, especially in the time of need. And that's because of the law change. You stated it made it more difficult for attorneys to do their job, made it more difficult for anybody to get paid. So as we know, at their worst time, even if you get them, you get that I got you moment to the insurance company, they're like, yeah, you're right. Now their biggest payday or their biggest output, it'd be what they should have paid in the beginning, what they should have paid, and that's 2 or 3 years down the road.
If someone challenges them, and if it's not a public adjuster or a lawyer,
that's right.
I'm just telling you, the folks who come to me and come to my door who say, I didn't know what to do, so I became a last resort. I view myself as someone they should talk to first, but I'll accept the last resort aspect. But most of the people, like you said, are the 77% that Citizens deny. Trust me, 77% of that million people, they still had 1 million policies back then. Those people didn't all call my office or anyone I know's office. People simply accept the bad news as the idea that the insurer tried. And the letters always say, we tried to find coverage. Our duty, like you can almost see them like wiping their eye and putting their hand over their heart when they write the letter, and just says, we tried to find you coverage. And people simply go, well, I guess that's it. They're the people who come to us because we still take those cases. We still represent people every day. I go to 2 or 3 mediations every day. We get people that get their claims resolved as best we can. We're still here to help. But, I mean, I look at this, and it's such the chilling effect, right? That's the term they like to use. That if they get rid of PAs and limit lawyers' ability to get paid, that has a chilling effect on our ability to do it for people, and it also has a chilling effect on the insureds who don't know where to turn anymore.
That's right. And they don't know what to do, and because of that, I want to say that combined marketing, that marketing machine, right, that goes out and publicly, it's a public disservice is what it really is. It pushes it's like every commercial is backed by pharmaceutical, if you noticed lately. Mm-hmm. Every commercial is like some sort of song and dance with some stupid pharmaceutical pill that just came out, right? And it's like, and it's, these jingles are trying to make you think like, oh yeah, this is all good for you. And then the last 5 minutes are all the side effects. And you're like, holy crap. I mean, that's not good at all. I'd rather keep my liver and my spleen and everything else and live with that, whatever disease that they're trying to fix, right? I mean, after all that crap. So, but they're gleefully playing this stuff, right? I mean, and it's not like, oh yeah, we can trust our government, right? Everything is backed by an agenda, that's backed by money, that's backed by somebody that has an adverse, it just doesn't have you in their best thought. And especially it should be our insurance companies who, I mean, not only is it law for us to have insurance, I'm trying to say it without cussing, right? But how do we do this, right? When we have to have insurance for our place, right? And then all the laws to protect ourselves are taken away. And it's because now, in this sense, it's because our governor got bought and paid for when he was running for president.
How many times did you vote for him?
Man, I did twice, and dang it.
Just checking.
But I will not vote for Casey DeSantis if she runs, and I don't expect anybody on my show. If you're going to vote for her, don't listen to my show
just
anymore.
Turn it off. Just turn it off right now.
Right now.
We're going to go. Goodbye.
You know what's crazy is that she hasn't even announced that she's going to be running for it, and already she's polling at like 24%. I'm just like, come on. Like, what is that? Barely beating Byron Donalds, who is running for governor, and is backed by the Trump campaign. So likely candidate to win. But I'm like, oh my goodness. But really, who should we be voting for? Is somebody for CFO, and it looks like it's going to be Frank College running against the appointed after CFO after Jimmy Petronas somehow got into Congress and gave up his seat. And so now we have this Blaze Ngolia or whatever, this person who is just basically the same as Jimmy Petronas, it basically his policies, which is say nothing, do nothing, sit there and smile. And did I say do nothing? Because that's what he's really good at.
Carry a big rubber stamp.
That's right. Anything that the insurance companies push through is policy-wise, even if it's unconstitutional, rubber stamp. Boom, let's go ahead and do it.
Speaking of insurance companies and TV ads, the other day I was shocked to see yet the newest spokesman for State Farm is who? Anybody? John Bon Jovi.
Really?
I swear to God, I was like, they were playing.
Because everybody's living on a prayer? And
they were playing, they were like doing some living on a prayer thing, and all of a sudden they show what's the guy's name?
Jake?
Jake. It's Jake, and I looked down and I'm like, that's John Bon Jovi, for God's sake.
He's wearing the red shirt now?
He's wearing, John Bon Jovi is a spokesman for State Farm.
Wow.
I mean, it's funny, when I was director of entertainment for Trump Organization in Atlantic City many years ago. And in that time, the people at that time thought Atlantic City was like the elephant's graveyard for entertainers, because it was like going to Vegas, right? Vegas, Atlantic City were kind of like the end point in your career. And I look at these people now who are spokesmen for State Farm. I look at the list of them, and then I go, John Bon Jovi. I mean, that to me that was the worst thing I'd seen so far.
I mean, it does make sense. I mean, because you are living on a prayer and a dream and a hope and that you are going to get reimbursed.
Yeah, you're hoping your claim's going to get covered. You're hoping they're going to be fair. You're hoping they're going to write you a check. That is true. There's nothing more true for the consumer than living on a prayer.
No kidding. I mean, every now and then I skim through some sort of social media. It's mostly LinkedIn if I do. I'm not on all the other social stuff since COVID. I got kicked off every platform for telling the truth, but whatever. So on LinkedIn, I saw, and you continuously see State Farm in the scrolling news. Oh, there they go again. They're getting dinged in this state for slow walking, wrongfully denying all these types of things. They are a big target everywhere. They are just well known for recklessly denying claims. I mean, the delay, deny, defend. It is real, and it's literally they make millions, not probably not millions, but billions off the backs of us, and then they treat us the way that they do. It's beyond me how that's even legal, how the mindset of these insurance companies. Okay, I sell you policy, you buy policy, I tell you everything to do after that. And I'm just like, controlling goods and services from A to Z is literally the definition of monopoly. And they do this very well and across all state lines. So now we're looking at a RICO Act, right? So I think we have something, Hans. Let's go after them. But for them to get away with this is just beyond me, especially when we have the facts. The guys, the adjusters in Florida, who were brave enough to stand up in front of this the House and the Senate committees,
and who were hostile toward them.
Right. Who were there saying, I did all these estimates. I turned them into the insurance company. They changed my estimate, left my name on it, and insureds were calling me left and right, mad at me. My license is up for being getting revoked because of these situations, and they're being bullied for bringing that information. It was on 60 Minutes, and we finally were getting somewhere, we thought, and seeing some major change, seeing these legislators say, you know what, enough's enough. We have all the information now. Let's put it to them. Let's put some rules and regulations. Let's really tighten it up. Let's go after them. But no, we saw the opposite happen. Even after the papers recently, past several months, came out and said, we caught the insurance companies overpaying their subsidiaries so they can stay within their 4.5% profit margins so they can continue to get rate increases, and still nothing. I'm still beyond myself, how this has happened. And you only look back at follow the money. I think maybe that's our theme today, is follow the money, right? Because it's like, that's who supports the legislators most. All these hidden PAC funds, all these lobbying firms and such that support the legislators that are in banking, insurance, and there are all these other ones, are backed by our state-funded citizens. Believe it or not, they're there and in the same hallway as our state legislators. They literally walk down the hallway, and you see others that are there. Office of Insurance Deregulation, because they don't do anything, is also there, and they just sit there and they talk about how they're not doing anything, but how we can screw the consumer. And so I was going back to, my bid to vote for Frank College. He's going to be running against, and he's a Republican. So our vote is going to be most important in the primaries. They're not even talking about, let's vote in November. Let's vote in August when the primaries come out, because we need to make sure that, because that's where the race is going to be held, is in the primaries. So it'll be Frank College versus
who is? I don't actually know the person's name. I hate to.
Yeah, it's Blaze and Ingolia, and so those two are in the race in the primary. So, and there's going to run unopposed. So whoever wins the primaries are going to be is going to be the candidate.
Okay,
is going to be the CFO.
So we have to treat that election in August as the election.
That's right. For
someone who actually can have some oversight as to what we do.
Yes.
Because I remember Petronas kept saying, if we find wrongdoing, it will be prosecuted. And we kept representing wrongdoing to the House and the Senate.
Here you go.
And nothing happened.
Yeah. It's beyond me. And they do such a great job. And I think you mentioned too that they're now getting sued by Heritage or some insurance company for defamation.
Defamation for the adjusters who came forward to say that that everything they were forced to do is somehow defame, is somehow, well, and the truth is always a defense to defamation, but
right.
You may not be able to afford to defend yourself. No, very similar to consumers in the state of Florida who have no options as far as the ways to fix it. But one thing I have noticed though is that I really felt that my hair wasn't getting all the soap out. I felt that. And that was bothersome because it would then affect my hairstyle. And of course, that's part of what I try to do is try to have all the things. And I said to myself, what can I do? And I talked to my neighbor, who's a dentist, Kirk Cohill, who's a good guy. And he said to me, much to my surprise, we put in this big water softener in our house. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. And he goes, my wife had it. We did it because my kids were teenagers, and they said it was good for their skin and help them have less acne. So to which I said, Who knew?
Was the water so hard that it made craters in his face?
It would just they'd wear like goggles and a helmet in the shower or something. I don't know exactly what was going on. But if only there was someone who we could talk to today about the effects of water softening and how it actually can make a difference. And I don't know who that would be. Do you have anybody?
It seems like that would be Chelsea, and she's sitting
What?
right across from us. What's
I have
going on,
no
Chelsea?
idea.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
That was a big
That
bill.
was a good. I was excited. I was listening in.
And you're like, wait, what happened there with your neighbor?
Yes, tell it again.
Yeah. So, and that's a great how do you want to say, just kind of. You really lobbed it up there, and but now I have a lot of questions. So we talked right before the show, and you mentioned better hair growth. You mentioned better just skin, better everything. And I said, I've heard about this. I have so many questions. I can't wait to talk about this and ask you all of my questions here on the show. But let's start with tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Chelsea, and I have been in home services my entire career. I love it. No one believes that. They're like, there's no way you have done, this whole world for as long as you have. And my first career was with Renewal by Andersen Windows and Doors, and so I helped to kind of grow that in the Florida market. And as of October of last year, really had a passion for let's make a difference. And, sometimes you look at it from a personal experience, like what he was mentioning in regards to, I want to feel healthier. I want to drink better, more pure water. And, really looked at that as a difference maker for the home, right? As well as my body. And so it's been a fun adventure. It's been a couple of months, and really not only building a brand and making people understand the difference of water softeners, but not only water softeners, but the important thing that everyone's talking about is microplastics and VOCs and forever chemicals, the stuff that we're all not, wanting to talk about, but that really impacts the skin, the hair, all the things.
Yeah. I know there was one representative in Winter Park, I forgot his last name, Mike, that was raising, I guess, there was a lot about chlorine and fluoride in our water. And I know he was really trying to get rid of the fluoride in the water. And how have we proceeded to do that in the last 5 or 10 years?
I think it depends. Each area in municipality is talking through, is this something that we really need to be put in our water? I think that we all grew up. I'm 50 years old, so I remember the importance of the fluoride being in our water. But is that really something we need today? I think there's a lot of things in our water that shouldn't be in our water. And I think as we're developing, educational opportunities to say, wait a minute, our skin is not getting any better, right? We're feeling the ability of this hard water situation on all of our appliances. Right. That's what's that appliance longevity perspective of our business is, how do we make sure that the health of the home, because again, to your point, and when you were joking, that's real, right? There's so many grains of hardness in our water. That's impacting our home and the pipes that, we're taking the water in as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the biggest thing that I'm sure people ask you is, what is the maintenance part of it? Yeah. And the least maintenance, the better, just because it just seems like, it would come to a head some point and it'd be very expensive. What would be your answer to that?
You're going to have some maintenance, right? That's with everything, but it's not to the point where it's so extreme where you're having to worry about it every month. That is not the case with our system, and it really gives you the benefit of having great clean water.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And we'll talk about that after we come back from the break. But yeah, I thought that was great that we had some legislators raising awareness for drinking water being bad for our health and that it could shorten our life. And the way it's explained to us is that, or was explained to me, is that those chemicals, both in the chlorine and the fluoride, make little cuts within your arteries, and it does unforeseen damage and long-term effects just from consuming the water, no matter if you're drinking it or consuming it via your skin in a shower and such like that. So we'll talk about that after the break. We'll be right back. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell.
And John Bon Jovi.
All right, John Bon Jovi. Both here on the show, live on Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell, 94.9 FM, 950 on the AM dial. Back from our commercial break. If you're checking us out on Spotify or iTunes, we do go to commercial break as we're a live radio station. If you are listening and you're thinking, how do I get on the show? We do have a live call-in number, believe it or not. You do have to wait, though, between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Monday nights and give us a call, 407-774-8255. Again, that's 407-774-TALK or 8255.
Which basically is to remind everybody, for most people, for the thing they use the least on their phone,
That's right.
the actual phone, you can call us.
That's right. That's right. But make sure you don't call it at like 12 p.m., whatever time you're listening to it. And
Right.
You're like, oh yeah, let me try to call in. But no, wait till Monday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's when we record the show live, and then we're on iTunes, Spotify, and of course on YouTube as well. Check us out there. Like us, subscribe us. You won't miss a show at that point. You'll get a little ding when we have a new show. That's great, man. And this is some real good stuff here. I mean, I have many questions about the water purification and or air purification treatments for your home. We talk about that here, about the importance of our health as it relates to building sickness. And that's what I do for a living as an indoor quality expert. And so we look at those things that are unhealthy. And like I tell people, I'm not a doctor of people. I'm a doctor of buildings. I can tell you if your building is sick and what type of illness your building has. Now, what that effect has on you is different. You know, it might affect you differently than it would me, all depending on what's going on in you, right? So, but there are some things you can do to prevent or to give you a better living space. And that's what people think when they're at home, is that this is my safe space, and this is where I want to make sure that I have good quality. I'm breathing in good quality air. Many times we talked about the humidity in your home, Hans.
Yes.
And you still have your little humidity thing on there? You might have to bring it up. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
Guess Hans Humidity used to be the
And that's my house, not my person, not my body or anything.
I mean, you guess it.
Under
We'll put
the
it on
left
show
arm's
here.
a little humid today. Well, yeah,
Well,
it's a little warm. It's going to warm out again.
And but the importance of having lower humidity. We live in a space where it's constantly 80 to 90% humidity outside, and your indoor environment, you want to be between 30 and 60% relative humidity. I like really between 45 and 60. I like the higher myself, but over 60% humidity, mold can grow in those dark areas where you don't have good air quality or movement, and that would be in closets and such like that. You don't see usually air vents in closets or near them, and sometimes that makes those areas extra moldy, or at least gives it the environment to where it can grow mold. And so those are some concerns. You mentioned VOCs. Those are things that we diagnose and we talk about in the indoor quality part of it. But, many of those things do come from or derive from things that either come from water or holding it, like the pipes, cast iron, things like that, adhesives that all help in creating VOCs, volatile organic compounds. And those exist in water as well. And so you mentioned some of those key elements. So tell us about some of the systems and maybe the most common system that a homeowner would purchase from you, and the reasons why.
A lot of times they're looking for, how do I have that appliance longevity? How do I, make sure that I'm not adding to, those already, appliances having issues. So you're seeing that when your water heater is starting to have issues, right? It's that sediment, it's that hardness that begins to grow inside of there. That's why it's when it does fail, it's a catastrophe, right? And then it's 10 times heavier than when you installed it, because it's got sediment from that hard water. But every single system's different. It's pretty amazing as, we go into homes and actually test the water. There's not one solution that's for everyone. Every home has a different problem. It could be that the hardness isn't there, but it has some type of, sulfur, and then the smell is beyond, and there's nothing that the consumer can do about that. But our systems allow for that to be treated. So there's a custom solution with our product. It's the Rain Soft system, and it really allows them to understand at what level. Is it that they have a lot of chlorine? Is it that they have super hard water? Or is it that they have a lot of chemicals? And, it just allows us to go and actually go through the process of testing. And I think that was what was so eye-opening for myself. I've been in home services forever. And until somebody actually started to educate me, I had no idea. I just thought, oh, well, my refrigerator filter's saving the day for me. And that is not the case, So we test all the different areas, whether it's from the tap, whether it's from your refrigerator, because we think we're safe, the bottled water. I think there's so many aspects that we don't know about microplastics and all of these things, because we have a very different type of water table here in Florida than they do in the Northeast, where they have a little deeper a water table in the Northeast. So you naturally get a little bit of a different filtering system. Just from nature. Yeah. Whereas here it's different.
Now, can you tell me a little bit more about microplastics? That's been like the new, I would say, keyword in bottled water drinking and such like that. Can you get that in home, not being in bottled water?
You can. We have a system that allows you, it's a reverse osmosis system that allows that to be stripped out of that water. So for me, I think as I started to learn, and I'm not the master scientist, you probably know a ton about microplastics, but I think that allows us to understand. There was a statistic that said if you drank 1 bottle of water every day, at the end of your life, it was like 90,000 microchips that you had consumed. Like there's all of these stats coming out now. And I think it's a lot of the conversations that people like Gary Brecka and everyone's talking about health in a different way. And, we're all wondering, how did we go down the path of cancer? Me, myself, I was so young. How did I go there? It's the things that we're consuming in our bodies that we don't even realize.
Oh, yeah. And I think, initially it's why I buy like the Zephyr Hills water, right? Because you say, okay, well, I'm not going to drink water out of the tap. And I don't. I drink it out of there or I drink that bottle of water. So I'll be plasticed up here soon. Yeah. I wonder if it's like bubble gum. If you swallow bubble gum, it takes 7 years.
7 years in your stomach.
Do the plastic take 7 years or does it just stay there forever?
I think it's just a mom's myth, I think.
Both the gum or the plastic?
I think the gum. I don't know. Plastic, I think, might stick around longer.
And do you really drown if you swim within 20 minutes after eating?
I think that's a myth, unless you get a cramp.
Yeah, well, that's why Mom said you get a cramp.
Yeah, no swimming for 20 minutes.
It wasn't the food; it was the cramping, and then you go down.
See, no. But now you mentioned during the break that you offer other services besides or other products, rather outside of water filtration. Can you tell me a little bit more about some of the products you offer?
We do some air purification, whether it's inside the ducts, and we also have a really unique product that has NASA technology that sends out hydroxyls and it cleans the surfaces. Really amazing product. We also do solar pool heating and energy audits to allow them to understand where they losing that energy. Is it areas where we can provide solutions for anything from hybrid water heaters to really understanding where are they having energy loss. But the big focus that we're really pushing and that we're really wanting to educate is the water aspect, because the water in Florida is terrible. And the more that you recognize or understand that, it was really interesting that you said your kids, because they're buying these small, filters for their showers because their hair is literally falling out and they don't know why, or their skin, they have eczema or extreme, types of acne. It's all from the chemicals that are in that water, and it's making a huge difference when they're putting the filtration systems in their home.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Sorry, is that when I got off on a tangent? But why I got the Zephyr Hills bottle is so I can drink it, but I'm showering in it and still consuming it in that way.
It's going right through your pores. When they came and kind of started the education process with me, it was really interesting because once you see what's in there and they physically show you, you can't unsee that stuff. And then you're like, wait a minute. Yes, to your point, you can not drink the water out of the tap, which most of us will not do. But what happens when it goes right in your pores, right? And so they took a sample out of the tap and they took another sample and put them side by side. And they said, okay, now put your finger in the other one on the left-hand side after they already tested it for the chlorine levels, and then pull it right back out within a second. They retested it, and there was no chlorine left because it went in my pores that fast. Like, that is the craziest thing, because we don't realize the first thing we do is we brush our teeth. We shower in that dirty water every single day. Unless you have a system, you cannot unsee it. And I'm telling you, it's made a huge difference on my skin. The ability for my hair to start growing back, which is huge. I think for women, that's the most important thing, is beauty and skin and health.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I went to law school, I went to law school in Miami, and I lived in Orlando, and I really didn't. I just applied. I never actually went down to look at it. I just was like, okay, good enough. and I went down there, and I remember the first time I went to use the toilet, and I was like, somebody didn't flush the toilet because the water's yellow. I was like yellow, and I went, oh man, and then every time I all of a sudden I moved into this apartment. I went in an apartment. I'm like, who's peeing in my bathroom? Yeah. Because the water is always yellow when I get down there. So my question is, why is South Florida water yellow? And like Orlando, it's definitely not. But as soon as you go like below the Palm Beach County line, the water all gets yellow in the toilet. So why is that?
I think it's probably some type of imbalance, right? Because I noticed
below the Palm Beach County line, so there's clearly imbalance there.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's something different in their water than anywhere else in Florida, because every time I visit, whether it's Fort Lauderdale or anywhere from that line down, it's brown or like a yellow-brown color. Yeah. Even when it's coming out of the sink, you can see it in the sink, and then it's kind of, it makes like a ring around the edge of the sink. A lot of
those, and you know this too, is that a lot of those homes were built in the 70s, which is original cast iron plumbing and such like that. And then so you have rust that accumulates in those plumbing lines, and you end up seeing that. It circulates through your systems and such. And now, with going back to your equipment, it seems like you have a solution for everything. So you are able to then help a consumer, whether it be on all sides of things, and say, okay, we've got a water system, we've got the air purification, and those are professionally installed systems that get into the AC system for air purification. And under the sink, you mentioned the reverse osmosis under the sinks, and you have your main machine outside that does all that for the water. So it doesn't matter if you're on city or you're on septic. I know septic's just the way out, but doesn't matter which system.
Well
water too. Yeah, we were able to test it and then treat it for whatever the concern might be.
That's awesome. And how do we get a hold of you, Chelsea, if somebody wanted to get, and you do offer free in-home estimates?
We do. We do their entire water test for complimentary. You can go to myfewa.com, and it's Florida Energy, Water, and Air, and we're happy to help.
All right, one more time on that.
myfewa.com, and it's Florida Energy, Water, and Air.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take a break. Give some thanks to our sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, we're back live. Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. Thanks for hanging out throughout the break. We are sponsored by the Restoration Association of Florida, raflorida.org. If you're a contractor in the Central Florida or in the Florida market, join our organization. You have an organization that stands behind you, helps you find work in your areas and other contractors to help service areas you might not be in. So check us out, raflorida.org. Today we have a great guest, Chelsea. She's joining us from Florida Energy, Water, and Air. It is the one-stop shop for getting your home back to a good level of indoor air quality, water. Those things are super important to us. And during the break, we mentioned what Hans was talking about. The kids, I was going to say the folks, the kids that are growing up now are so like the importance of their skin, the importance of hygiene are at, not like they weren't in our day, I'm just saying, but we drank out of hoses and played basketball until the sun went down.
And we survived.
Right, we were fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But now kids are more influencers, and their hair's got to look good, right? Their skin's got to look good, for the camera, whatever. I'm making this up, but either way. But it is a different market for us today, where the now shift has gone towards. It's not weird if you want to be healthy, right? It's not weird if you want to ensure that you have good quality water coming through your pipes, and especially whether you're drinking it, you're taking a shower, brushing your teeth with it. It makes a lot of sense. And many of the questions that we have is indoor quality. right? I mean, I talk about humidity levels. I'm talking about keeping your home in a space just like our bodies, right? I mean, how do we keep ourselves healthy? We stay within homeostasis, right? I mean, we make sure that there's balances everywhere, so not one gets more influxed other than the others, and that's where these issues arise. And a little while ago, I talked about one of the legislators out of Winter Park was really going for getting rid of fluoride in the water. He was a representative for Winter Park, and I can't remember if it ended up getting through or not, but I know he put a lot of effort into it, and that kind of raised my awareness towards saying, well, shoot, I mean, but wait, if the government says that the water's fine for us, that it should be fine. Then to find out that there's an acceptable amount of rat poisoning that's able to be in your water, and that's when I was like, "Say what?"
I believe that also there's an amount of strychnine, which is rat killer,
yes,
that's allowed to be in toothpaste.
That to me is shocking, but it's what's happening. And there's this really interesting website. If you haven't been, it's called like the EWG, and you can put your zip code in and where do you get your water, and it will tell you exactly what's in your water all the way down, what the acceptable is and what's actually there. It's pretty scary.
That's crazy. And then I think I'm fine drinking bottled water, right? I mean, so I stick with bottled water. I drink the Zephyr Hills when I get home. And then the new thing now is coming out about these microplastics. And I'm like, what does that do? Right? I mean, how can I avoid getting those levels of now microplastics in here? Am I going to turn into a screw cap thing? I mean, is this, like, what is happening with my plastic levels? Do I need to worry about that? Am I going to turn into Ken or Barbie? Like, what is happening? I don't know. And so those are questions that I guess we'll find out as bottled water is super popular, no matter where, your home, concerts, events, bars. I mean, everybody drinks out of bottled water.
It's hard to find. Occasionally you'll see like a bottle filler at the gym or the airport. I remember as a kid at 9th and Asbury in Ocean City, New Jersey, there was a four-sided bubbler that you just went through, it was like going to the city square in Oklahoma or something. But they had a four-sided bubbler, and it just bubbled water, and everyone stopped. You walk around with your mom, you go, I'm stop, get a drink of the water. You stop and drink water out of the public bubbler in front of City Hall in Ocean City.
Wow.
Never thought twice about that.
I might be a little bit younger than you, but back in my day, they called them water fountains.
Well, that is true. In the Midwest, they call them bubblers.
Bubblers.
Like my folks were from Wisconsin. So they would call it the bubbler. That's like you don't drink soda, you drink pop.
Right.
You put your groceries in a sack, not a bag. Some of those colloquialisms still come. But yeah, but it actually bubbled, like it actually was bubbling out of the thing. I think is where the term came from.
But water wasn't like actually like bubbles. It was
but it bubbled up and out. Like it wasn't a little stream. It was like it bubbled up.
Yeah, but not that high, like kids running through the water spurts or whatever in the parks.
Just a little bit, just enough to drink, but that was like the town bubbler.
Yeah. In my circles, right? No kidding. In my circles, that's like a bong, So I don't know what that means, but you put water in it.
We didn't drink water out of the carburetor. Right.
That's right, just like that.
And now you're seeing like everyone's talking about, the water that's now in the can, just like your soda or your pop, right? Whatever, I think it's called like liquid death. Now that's the big thing. It's $1 billion industry because I don't want to drink plastic.
The fact that liquid death could become a hit, and it's literally water in an aluminum can. There's no. I remember first saw it. I was like, oh, what?
It's full of hydrogen and a little bit of oxygen.
What's in
liquid death.
It's nothing.
And it's a can of water. I was like, this is like they used in World War II.
It was my first experience with it was at a concert a couple years back, and I went up to go get a water, and I was like, oh, okay, here you go, liquid death. I go, no, I just want a bottle of water. Like, here you go. I was like, I just want water. Like, this is the water. I was like, okay. So I open it up. I'm like, okay, whatever. I drank it. I don't know. It tastes like water. So in a aluminum can.
Right.
Now I'm worried about, am I going to cut myself, or is it like, is it going to rust? I mean, what is in this water now? Now I'm like really worried. But apparently I got to be more worried about microplastics. And maybe, is it liquid death my answer? I don't know. Have you tested liquid death?
No, I think that would be a great
That should be our
experiment.
next one.
Let's
Then.
do that.
I've definitely tested
that
these
versus-
guys, and it's pretty scary.
It is. Do microplastics come up in your test?
Not in the one that we do in the home, but you can do further testing. But it gives you different other things that it could be present.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see it through its process, and then it allows you to be able to see that actual hard sediment. So when you see it, and I'll show you pictures of mine, I was blown away because you can actually see how that sediment is actually in the water, but you don't see it unless you have the chemicals to be able to see it.
Right. Oof. So let's talk about some important questions that folks that are or consumers that are listening to this now might have, and that is, I hear it's expensive, and then the maintenance cost are extraordinary. So what would be the average cost nowadays? And hopefully maybe it's gone down with competition. I don't know. I've never got a price at my house. What would be the average cost, and what type of maintenance costs are they looking at?
I think every home's different, like I said. Not every home's going to have really hard water, right? I was in a home the other day where there was not hard water, but there was sulfur. So it's custom made to whatever the need is, right? You may not need the full entire system. And I think if you look at the savings over the years, your savings in your appliance longevity and not having to replace those appliances as often, the ability to save for this, right? We're drinking these every day. They're expensive, and we're going through a lot of them. And then also, if you're washing your clothes with dirty water, can you imagine how much of that laundry detergent you're using? How much less you can use when you're not washing it with dirty water. So there's all of these things that I think you have to look at the aspects of what are you saving over time, your pipes in your home, that the ability for you not to have to worry about those failing, right? There's so many little things that add up to the savings that I think you really need to look at it from that perspective.
I can tell you, I dump a couple of bags of salt, and the salt's like $5 at Walmart. I think it's like $5 for like 25 pounds of like acorns or whatever.
I haven't been to Walmart in forever, man. Give me a reason to go.
And
Where my thong.
Well, they
go.
deliver them to my house, so I don't bother going. They're delivered to the house.
All right. Well, shoot.
Walmart actually delivers to the house like within an hour. It's kind of crazy.
Is that like Instacart?
Yes, it actually is. And there's, I think my wife pays $75 for the year.
Yes.
And she's and a little. I mean, she's like, "Well, we need some of this," and she sends it off. And like 20 minutes later, like you hear like a knock at the door, and you're like, "Hello?" And, oh, it's the Walmart guy. But they deliver salt.
I do that with Sprouts, and within the hour I get.
love
I'm like,
Sprouts.
that's great.
Well, so
so
Walmart
great.
does that. So we use them for like the more utilitarian stuff, like salt. It's like $5 a bag. The bags are once I get are 25 pounds, and then like once a month I go out and I dump like three bags into the salt container. And that's it, man. And then I go back inside and I close the door, and that's all it is.
So I put salt in my pool to help it be a little lighter and such like that.
It's the exact same salt.
So that's a big bag of salt then.
Yep.
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 There you go. Epsom salt?
No, not Epsom salt.
It's like a solar salt, or there's a name for it.
I don't want a foaming foot bath in my water.
Come on.
But it actually, when you buy the salt, it actually is for like Morton salt for water purification systems, whatever it is. But yeah, it's real easy, man. Yeah, that's not a
good
problem.
stuff. Good stuff. And then, so within that, are those your main two products then? Would be your water purification and your air purification?
It is. And then like I mentioned, we do solar pool heating. We do hybrid water heaters. Those are all products within the lines. But for us, just really focusing on education. How can we make sure that they understand what's going on with their home from an energy perspective, but also what's going on with your water? I think that the water is the thing that our whole bodies depend on, right?
It's what, it's 90, our body's what, 98%? What's the number? I
think it's like 80 something, right?
80 something. There's some high number that your body is water.
Yeah.
Primarily everything is water based. So
everything's hydrogen. Right?
Yeah. I think hydrogen and oxygen, or else it's.
I just got you wet. That sounded weird on radio, but anyways, I touched his hand. You know what? That even sounds more weird. Anyways, we'll move on.
I think explaining it only makes it worse.
Yes, you're right. We're gonna get back to Chelsea here. So, for what's the service area that you cover for your free in-home estimates?
So we cover almost the entire state of Florida. We have
awesome.
10 states and 13 locations, but the main offices are right here in Maitland. And so we go all the way down pretty much to Fort Lauderdale. We
You
cut
need
over.
to with the brown water
Brown
down
water,
there.
man. Something's
There's
got to
another
happen down there.
great dealer down in Miami that takes care of that area, but we have coast to coast, most of Florida.
I like how you cut out Miami. It's their own. It's
It's
its own
always is.
world.
It
It's its own
is,
entity
it
down
is.
there. And anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, and so we're here to service not only our consumers, but we want to educate their children. So it's been really great for us to go in home, and they do a science experiment, and they actually get to see and understand what's going on in the water. And it's so cute to hear all the little boys and girls saying, Ma, you got to figure this out. We are not going to bathe in that stuff. And it's really an interesting process. And I think that's half the battle, is knowing what's there and being able to treat it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's good stuff. So you, if a consumer contacts you and says, okay, come out and give me a free in-home estimate, how much time do they expect to sit with you, and about what type of are you testing indoor quality stuff and the water?
So the first thing we're going to test is the water, and we're going to take them through the process, and then they can later on ask some additional questions. But, it just depends on the questions, right? Some people want to keep us there for hours because they really are curious and they want to be educated. So it's really up to you and how long. But we'll go through the testing process, and we'll make sure you're all taken care of.
That's great. And how do they schedule a free in-home estimate with you?
Definitely go to myfewa.com, Florida Energy, Water, and Air, and we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Sue, so much for being on the show tonight, and so much great information, and definitely will contact you for myself. I'll definitely be a client. So, and Hans as well, thank you for being on the show
Of course.
as always. In the last 10 seconds, how do we get a hold of the great Hans Kinnan?
407-782-0258, 407-782-0258.
Thanks so much for listening to the show. We'll talk to you guys next week. See you.